I take a second opportunity to welcome our guests who have joined since I was here to speak to the process or even the introduction to our conversation. I welcome you again. Evelyn and Julia and I are here on behalf of the entire team that has made this event possible. And so before we begin our conversation, the three of us are here on behalf of Catherine Karaoke, Catherine Moya, Jacqueline Coney. Who is Jacqueline? You've changed. Lillian Machanga, Anne Waithaka, who has just spoken, and Paulette Juma. You have just been told that Paulette had an issue to attend to. Should she have been here, we would have much celebrated her contributions to the conversation because of the angle that she brings to the conversation around change. And as you may have seen in her author bio, she speaks from a governance perspective. She is Mutua Pesa. So, I mean, some of the changes that we really struggle with are about Pesa, isn't it? Yeah. You will get her insights when you do read the book, or when you do listen to her podcasts, which were facilitated prior to this event today. As we start our conversation, I'd like to invite my two co-authors to introduce themselves again. Maybe some additional light has come to you since you spoke. Change. But for Julia, it will be good for you to hear how she describes herself in this context, and then we'll take it from there. So I will start with you, Julia.
Thank you, Benta. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. You know, when you're seated on this seat, you're very powerful. I have the power to tell you, stand up, sit down. Stand up, sit down. First and foremost, I want to thank the Almighty Father for giving us the grace to be here today. And for everyone, our dear family and friends, for joining us today. Karibuni sana, and thank you for being with us. My name is Julia Kag. I'm a HR professional, but I don't like describing myself like that. I'm a change navigator. Change is inevitable. And without change, where will we be? Think about it. Even the seasons. January, Nisola. Sindio? We say Kimumana. December is a season to celebrate. So I'm looking forward to having this conversation. I'm happy. And learning even from the audience. Thank you.
Karibu Julia. Evelyn.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Evelyn Koki. I'm a leadership and organizational development consultant. So change is what I do for a living. And it's interesting to realize that I haven't learned how to navigate change in my own life. And so, again, I will say this is a conversation we all need to have, not only one that you need to have with yourself first, and you need to have with everyone else around you, and subsequently in our organizations. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn. As they were introducing themselves, I just thought for a moment that we will have 2 minutes of open mic, and then you in the audience will get a chance to ask them one question each. How's that? Perfect. So let's take it away. Evelyn, I'm back to you. On the subject of change, you are privileged to be the one who people read first in this book. And because your write-up is so practical, we are lucky that people will read our chapter on. Thank you for writing such powerful nuggets. Had you not, probably people would have been tired and left the book. And you write such powerful insights, cross-cutting between organizational change and leadership and organizational development. And then you also talk about personal change. what one change has come your way that you didn't plan for, but you liked, and what did you do with it?
I have, wow, okay. I thought I had an answer to that question. A few years ago, 3 years ago, I was working as the head of strategy and business development for a German firm, a job I really loved, especially the dollars, a whole lot. And when this came to an end, and before that, I don't know if my friend is here. Before that happened, I gone through a period where I was feeling very discontent. You know, where you get to the point, the mountain, okay, not the big mountaintop, my small mountaintop. I'd gotten there and thought I had everything I needed. You know that checklist where you think, if I get this job, if I do this, and you think once you have those things, you'll be very fulfilled. I'd gotten there and I realized I'm not feeling that feeling. I'm not feeling fulfilled. I'm feeling like there's something missing, that I should be on a different path altogether. And it was really a struggle because, first of all, you're ashamed, yeah, right? You have everything everyone else wants. So you have that shame of, why am I not grateful for what I have? But deep down, you know you're grateful. It's just that you're not feeling the way you thought you would feel. You've not, these things you thought once you get them, this is how you feel, that feeling is not there. And so, for a while, I went through the process of trying to figure out what is it that I need to change to, or what is required of my life right now. And I didn't have an answer to that until that contract ended. Thank goodness, because I would not have left that job. And I tried applying for jobs and it was painful. I'm not kidding you. It was really painful to send an application. Painful. Until it got to a point where I decided, okay, I need to take a sabbatical, figure out what I need to do with my life, because clearly this is not working. And it was not easy between coming to that decision and actually implementing it. That's why in my speech when I was talking about, we know intellectually what we need to do, but doing it is a different animal altogether. So I've experienced that, knowing exactly what I need to do and doing it, implementing it, took a whole year. And when I finally decided to do that, and then this whole other journey emerged of writing, of consulting, of teaching about leadership, being very passionate about self-leadership and coaching, and realizing and telling people, you know what, there's a whole other version of you that is waiting for you to emerge, only if you put in the work. And so, do I miss the dollars? Yes. Do I miss the big title? Sometimes. Do I miss the constant income? Yes. I will not lie about that. But I am so happy and fulfilled where I'm at right now that I wouldn't trade it for anything else. And so it's something that's very scary, because sometimes we curate our lives. We know how our lives are going to go. And making that big jump, and even the worst bit, I think, is having to explain it to people and tell them, you know what, I really also don't understand it. I'm feeling a pull towards a certain direction. I don't understand it. I don't know how it's going to show up, but it's something I need to do.
Wow. Interesting that you do miss the titles, and yet you have got an equally powerful titled coach. Because nature abhors a vacuum. Where that was, something else came up. Julia, change can strip us of titles, as she has said, of cherished roles, of cherished goal lines that we thought were it. And you think nothing has remained. Actually, I'd like you to speak to these young girls who I saw 2 weeks ago in Kibera, who are very hopeful sometimes not too hopeful, because they think that the title of young mother cannot run parallel to successful woman. The youngest of whom, that was 2 weeks ago during the International Global Youth Day, the youngest of whom was 13. Her title has changed. Her role has changed. What happens after that? How does she rebuild from there? And you can tell the group why I'm saying this to you.
Thank you very much, Benta. Well, I'll start by why Benta posed that question. Why or what can the young ladies in Kibera say? I'm a young mother. I gave birth when I was 19. The girl is turning 20. In a few weeks, she's here. She can stand and just wave her hand.
Woo, let's celebrate her.
Yes. So, change is tough. And being a young mother is very tough. I'll not lie. It stripped me of who I was. Without the titles, who are we? Sit down and just pick your pen where you are or your phone and just write. Without that title, who am I? Just a minute, take time. Sioni mkichukua simu or your phones. I want you to write, who am I? Are you your titles? Without your titles, who am I? Who is Julia without the title mother? We might have very limited time to pause on that question, but if you sit down with that question, you'll find out that your values are what determines you, your resilience, your belief systems, and your sense of purpose. For me, when I gave birth when I was 19, I'll have to say a few of my friends are here from campus. We used to jump, and I'm a very meticulous person. I plan myself. So you can imagine I've written my top points like it's a whole speech. At 18, I had a plan of what I want to achieve by the time I'm 30. One of the plans was I have to have had 2 masters, finish my degree, and working on my doctorate. Shock on me. You're 18 with a child in your belly. What becomes of you? You have to change your way of thinking, your vision, your perspective. All that, and you have to build discipline and resilience to be able to navigate this change. And if you don't believe in yourself, one of the authors spoke, believing in yourself, be your own champion, and even have a strong community that surrounds you to champion you ahead. I'll not say I went through that phase of my life alone. I had people who were there with me. They are here today. They know the story. Watu wa Shimoni wako hapa. They know why we call it Shimoni. My parents are here. My siblings are here. So yes, be resilient. Have your purpose. Define who you are outside the titles. So I'll say that. And to the young girl out there, or someone who's feeling that they missed a step to achieve their goal, change is just a detour. It's just another way to navigate and make you learn something new that you didn't know you could rediscover within yourself. Yeah.
Wow. I celebrate you again. Let's celebrate Julia. We often take it for granted that a person can rise from the sudden change in title of girl to mother. It's not a small thing, especially for the gents in the room. It is never a small thing. We are brought up to think that we will be girls until the appropriate time. Sometimes that dream is cut short. You have spoken to people being with you, and in the book you speak to being held together by Ubuntu. What's the Swahili for Ubuntu? We are Kenyans. The word for Ubuntu in Swahili, it's Ubuntu. What's the English word for Ubuntu? Okay, Ubuntu. That's my homework for you. We are because somebody is.
I am because you are.
Okay. We'll come back to that family bit and how they held you together, especially, and you will come back to it. In the urban context, we are very separated and we are navigating change almost solo, and it can be hard. So we'll come back to that and you can then help us understand Ubuntu in your context and in navigating change. But back to you, Evelyn. Evelyn talks about the big things, which the entrepreneurs in the room, the directors, the pastors who are managing a congregation of like 8,000, 7,000, like Pastor Sami, will resonate with. So I want to speak to them and probably anybody else who's rising in the organizational context. You speak about change in the sense that it will not always be embraced. And I'm so grateful that you brought up the subject of resistance to change. Could you just share with this group here something to take home on what is resistance to change and how may people live here having dropped resistance to change, and in its place, what do we have in place of resistance to change?
Thank you. That's a very important question and a loaded one. So resistance should be expected. In fact, if you introduce change and you don't experience any resistance, you should be worried. Because number one, there are two types of resistance. There is active resistance, where people are opposing you publicly, or you'll go to a meeting, announce a change, and there'll be people saying, we don't agree with this change. That's actually very good resistance. You should treasure that. The worst kind of resistance is a passive one. You see the ones that you don't say anything in the meeting and they go behind your back, and the ones saying how this change is bad and backbiting and using informal channel of communications to spread all these things that are negative about the change. That is what you should be worried about. So number one, expect that resistance. It's going to come, it's going to show up, and use that as information. Someone says they're resisting this change, ask them why. You might discover that if you use resistance as a form of feedback, you will gain insights into maybe an angle or a blind spot or something you forgot about this change that will make it land better. Secondly, we are wired, like I said during my speech, we are wired to resist because we are fearful. People don't resist the change when they're being resistant. They're resisting the uncertainty that this change brings. The fact that I don't know what this change is going to bring, that this change is interfering with the way I've done things before, with the identity of who I am as a person, with all these structures I've put in place that are working. Because sometimes change happens when everything is working. Like, this is why you changing this. So because of all those things, you have to understand there's an emotional aspect of change that needs to be managed. And so you have to realize that, number one, if this change is coming, I have to realize, number one, it's going to have that effect. People will be very emotional about it. People will have things to say about it. And if you understand that, it will not surprise you. First of all, it will not take you by surprise. And then secondly, and this is where I know most leaders fail, they will not take it personally. Because what happens is a leader introduces a change, people resist, and then they take it like a personal attack. It's never about you. It's never, most of the time, when people are resisting, it has nothing to do with you. Unless, there's a caveat here, unless you have a credibility issue. So if a leader has, and I'm not going to name names, we know politicians, if that politician, I remember, okay, this was all over, so it's not me. There was a CS of health, and when immediately was announced as a CS, the memes started going round. If he's a CS for health, start eating your fruits. Because everyone was like, it's going to get bad. So unless it's a credibility issue, then it's about the leader. But most of the time, it's about the change itself and how we as people perceive it. Secondly, people are different. Yeah, we have different personality. People who are open to change, they will perceive it differently. People who are not, they'll perceive it differently. So know your team, know the person you're introducing this change to. And there are so many ways you can do that. You can do personality tests, and then you'll be able to tell this person will take the change very well. So I can start with him. I can sit him aside and be like, okay, this is a change we're about to introduce, so I want you to be my champion, and you will convince him, and then subsequently you will convince everyone else. One of the things that leaders, another reason or rather mistake leaders make is they think that change is going to land the same, and they have to introduce it at the same time. Find your champions, sell them the idea, and they'll be able to help you sell the idea to everyone else.
Wow. Wow. That must have landed. A clap for Evelyn. It's not personal. Get change champions. Don't be everything. Even in your personal life. Thank you, Evelyn. That's your organizational coach speaking. Julia, your write-up teaches us an important skill that's slowly dying, and it is that you may not succeed much managing personal change alone. Would you speak to this group here about how you have woven Ubuntu into your philosophy and your practice of managing change to be the thriving HR practitioner you are? And you may even want to speak to the urban audience that loves to be alone.
It's good to be alone, but I'll pose back a question to you and to everyone else. It is said you walk faster when you're alone, and you go far when you're many. So that's one policy I stand with. And the Ubuntu, we are a community. No man is an island. You can imagine living in a space where you're alone. You get lonely at times. Let's be honest. Even some of us who call ourselves introverts. There are those of us who've hidden ourselves. I'm an introvert. That's why I don't go out to hang out with people. But in the real sense in life, you need that someone to talk to. You need someone who will be your coach. You need someone who will be your partner. You need someone who will be your sponsor. And ladies, see ile sponsor ingine, someone who will open doors for you. And you need an accountability partner. In all this, we still have them within us. It's only that we want to live in the life of individualism. And in the African context, let's be real, man. We are not individuals. We live in a community. And it's a high time we start embracing that community. It doesn't have to be a community of professionals. You can look for people in different professions and even get to learn what they're doing. Don't always, as much as it's part of the same feather, try and move out and get people outside your feather. Even if you look at the peacock is very beautiful. Why is it beautiful? When it does the mabawa yake, the feathers, when it does the whatever, why is it beautiful? Because of the many colors that are ingrained with it. So as much as we want to be individuals and we are living in an individualistic world, let's get people who can champion for us and we can champion for them. Kama vile Waswahili wanasema kidole kimoja hakiwi chawa. So let's come together and partner in different ways to be able to thrive. And you'll be able to navigate change easily because, as you said, change is not easy as you're alone.
Yeah.
And you need those champions.
You need champions. You need champions whether you're thriving or at the bottom. All right. I'm seeing that our MC unit is making certain consultations that I think will be of benefit to us. You want to speak to it? All right. Okay. At this point, I would like to get an open mic moment. Anybody who's got a question or a comment to make, this is your opportunity. Any question or comment? Even derived from the book? Yes. There is, Celine, there is a question from the lady at the back.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Lydia Joy. I have a question for two ladies, something I was reflecting on as I was reading the book. To Lilian, I really like the chapter where you've written about entrepreneurship, the very last part. For entrepreneurs who are navigating change, especially those who are transitioning from being an MSME to being an SME, what are the two things you think that if they did right, they would be able to get change in an easy manner? And then my second question is to Jackie Coney. I really like her book because I like her chapter because of how you said, who are we without titles? When I read her chapter, it was very clear she has navigated so many titles. So how did she manage to stay true to herself? Despite the fact she has held so many titles throughout her journey. So thank you.
Thank you very much for those really great questions. Jackie, you have done a 360 degree, almost. Would you respond to our guest? As the mic comes round, I would like to inform the audience that the question that's addressed to Lillian may be responded to by Catherine, who's also in that space. And Catherine, you may also just want to emphasize your title so we feel good about you. So Jackie, please take it up for the guest.
Thank you very much, Benta. Thank you, Lillian. Thank you for that question, though I cannot see her. Okay, thank you. I'm one person who really loves the subject about purpose. So when I got to the crossroads, I went back to the core. Who am I without titles? Like Evelyn Koki has put it, sometimes we define ourselves with titles to the point we forget who we are, especially when you become a mother, a wife, a what, occupation. And when you ask most of us, who will say, introduce yourself, I'm Jacqueline, leadership coach and trainer, blah, blah, blah. But that's not who we are. We are that one thing that, if you believe in God, that one thing that God put inside you, that's what shapes the person you are. And so when the times of uncertainty came, I was no longer a politician, not a lecturer, not anything in the government. Then what was left inside me was the fact that I love serving people, I love impacting on others, I love leadership because I believe everything rises and falls on leadership. Countries rise and fall on leadership. You feel it, yes? Mm-hmm. We know the difference. Mm-hmm. And because I'm so big on leadership, then the other thing was, then how can I practice the same thing that I am without those titles that we get when we get appointments? And that's when it boiled down to, how do I reach people to enhance their leadership? How do I train professionals to rise despite where they are? How do I train others to transition through change? And I did not do it alone because it is really tough. From the time we vied 2022, that was August, all the way to November 2023, that's when I lifted my phone and I was like, let me look for a coach who can tell me how to move from where I was.
Thank you.
And that's when I contacted 3 and I settled on 1 to reaffirm that for sure I'm a teacher, the trainer in me, the coach, and I went through training and certification as a leadership coach. So my take home is simply, who are you? What is your purpose? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Lillian, feel free to connect with Connie after this meeting. A connection has just been built. On to the second question. Catherine, would you take it in 2 minutes? And Catherine, as you do, just reintroduce yourself for the benefit of those who may want to connect with you.
So my name's Catherine Kariuki. I am the Executive Director of SME Founders Association. So we are about founders and we're about connecting entrepreneurs to mentors, money and markets. So we usually have an open day every first Friday of the month from 9 to 11, where we have different entrepreneurs, different sectors, and we come in and interact and we collaborate, and we also do some learnings as well. So invite you into a space. Regarding your particular question, I'm reminded today of the session we actually had, which was talking about partnerships. So one of the things that SMEs sort of miss out is that collaboration. Yes, you may be alone, but part of the other founders you know, they do different things. You should be able to partner with them. So would urge you as an entrepreneur, learn to be able to align with who can take you through your journey. The other thing is have clarity in your vision. So many times we mix up our personal vision and our business vision, and then what happens? We don't grow. We become circumstance excusers. I didn't have enough money. I was not in the right market. That was not a good product. The customers did not like me. It was too expensive. And you give up on your dream. The other third thing I'd like you to urge is, being an entrepreneur means you have to have a lot of resilience. A lot. You have to believe that what I am doing is right. What I am building has a future. Do not give up. So I look forward to seeing you in May 8th actually. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. A clap for her. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now my opportunity to introduce Paulette Juma. They should, please. Paulette, you may prefer this stairway. Paulette, you're most welcome. And take a seat. Perfect. Thank you for coming despite the challenge you had. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce again in person, not in absentia, CPA Paulette Juma, Rotarian Paulette Juma, a co-author in this rich book. Paulette Juma, welcome again. Paulette is a transformative leader with deep experience in operational excellence, and she has worked in big organizations to make them work smarter, grow stronger, and deliver lasting impact. Paulette is passionate about building resilient organizations, and she currently provides country and operations leadership at a non-profit organization. She's also a board member, and like you've heard me mention, she's a Rotarian at the Athika Pity Club. CPA Paulette Juma, this book writes to such important issues, and I know you've had a chance to rest, Paulette. One of the questions that has been alluded to in this conversation so far, and since we started, is to do with leading yourself. Catherine has just said how people mix the organization and the individual. Paulette, would you speak to this matter? You emphasize leading the self as a foundational issue. And in high-pressure organizations, you also speak to how that looks like. Would you please help us to understand, when you say lead yourself first, what does it really mean when navigating change, navigating pressure, and avoiding uncertainty and burnout? Karibu.
Thank you so much, Abanta. My sincere apologies for coming in late. And thank you for all the concern for those people who reached out. And we are glad that we made it, albeit at the very, very last sessions. Leading ourselves. So what exactly is leading ourselves? Leading ourselves in simple terms is self-influencing. So when you're leading yourself, you're self-influencing yourself. And this was said by Charles Marx, I think in 1983 or 86, that this is about being the captain of your own ship. And when I saw that, I was actually very intrigued, because in the book, how I look at change is a process where you are sculling, basically getting into the boat and being able to scull. Then for you to be able to move forward, you have to be sculling. So it takes you as an individual to be able to do that. So how is it that we are able to lead ourselves? First of all, it's just being aware of who we are, self-awareness. You're aware of your weaknesses, you're aware of your strengths. You're basically a SWOT analysis of your own self. Who am I? What do I like? Where do I want to go? And if I want to go there, how do I then self-motivate myself to be able to reach that particular point that I want to reach? Reach? And in doing so, then are you able to lead others? I think for those who read the Bible, and I hope all of us do, Jesus at some point told, I think it was the disciples, a group he was talking to, that they're blind leading the blind. So basically, there is no way you as a blind person would be able to lead others. It requires you to have vision, and as a leader, we are hoping that you have vision.
Paulette, in this conversation, we are so privileged to have with us students, college students, primary and high school pupils. And we know that this topic that you're talking about is not taught in schools. If they were to take anything home, where do they get this knowledge or this skill on leading themselves? Could you at least give them a pointer to where to go?
So I look at change as a lifestyle. Change is who you are. Change is who you've been. Because at any one particular point, there is change that is happening. Willingly or unwillingly, like for me today, change happened. So know that in life, change will always happen. So for you, if you're a student, is to see what exactly do you want that change to be, and how is it that you can take yourself to the driver's seat of the change. So if, for example, you're a first year, you should be anticipating to go up to your fourth year and to graduate, whether it's with a first, second, or just to graduate, depending on your goal, is you need to have that vision as an individual. Once you have that, in between what you do will determine whether or not you're able to create change. And I'm a proponent of creating change. So don't look at change as what is it that I can do, what is it that I can become, but what is it that I can create on a day-to-day basis that will help me reach a goal that I want, that will help me reach a future that I want, that will help me get to the career that I want. What step can I take today? What step can I take in over the weekend? What step can I take in the evening for me to be able to create that goal?
Thank you. I hope the young people have heard, for you to prepare yourself for change that's coming, because it's coming, you've got to start with knowing yourself. And you're privileged to have all this information with you as you grow. A lot of us older people did not have that privilege. The concept of self-leadership is real. It is a real organizational dynamic. It is even a field of study. So self-knowledge, self-leadership is critical on the subject of change. I want to come back to Julia again. And Julia, would you speak to this issue of the inevitability of change? We are saying it will happen anyway. How do I thrive within this change that's beyond me, so that I'm not just surviving, feeling like the fire is really burning me? How do I thrive in it, knowing that it is not the best of circumstances?
Thank you, Evelyn. Benta, sorry. Surviving and thriving. You know, surviving, you're just there. Uko tu. So the question that you should ask yourself when you're going through the process of change, or whichever season that you're in, if you're surviving, you'll only survive for a short time, because change is inevitable. It's just like, let me use an example of what I've referred to in the book, chocolates. When you put chocolates under the sun, what becomes of it? It melts. Yeah. So you can decide you want to stay in the melted status. And for you to thrive, once you melt, what do you do with these melts? You have to remold yourself. So that's how you'll say you're thriving in change. remolding yourself. If you stay in the male status, you'll be a part of people will walk over you. Then years later, you'll come and regret, I had this opportunity to remodel myself, but I was not able to take that opportunity. So in everything that you're going through, you'll have a melt season. That's the fire that will burn you. So if you want to remain in that survival mode, ile yenye tunasema tuko tu, how long will you stay in that tuko tu survival mode? So it's up to you to take up the challenge and remold yourself, do a lot of retrospection, learn from the changes. And change is good. And surviving change is also good because you'll survive and you'll be able to pick up areas that and strengths that you had and rebuild in that survival mode and thrive. So as much as you survive and change, aim to thrive and remold yourself in that change.
Aim to thrive and sustain you in that mode. Actually, psychologists tell us that being in a survival mode is dangerous for you. You do things that are not to your very best of interest. Holding on to straw when you should be standing on solid ground. So thank you for that. Quitting the survival stage into the thriving mode. Evelyn, in your of the book, you encourage us to navigate change in a substantial manner, and you use the concept of transformation. Let me use Kenyan English. Me, I want that. Me, to be transformed. Who in this room wants to be positively transformed? Coach Evelyn, how will we be transformed while navigating change?
Good question. Because if you're not careful, in the middle ground, we can all be psyched about change, right?
Yeah.
We see it in New Year's resolutions. We all have them. But comes December, where are they? Lost somewhere in transition. The cow beans coming out. Transition. And so you have to realize change has to be managed. And we talked about resistance. I'm glad we answered that question before this, because you have to navigate through the resistance period for you to get to the transformation. They say there's start period, there's a neutral period. Everything in you has to die. You see, once you encounter change, there's a familiar ground, right? And then there's that transition period where nothing makes sense. The old you is no longer, the new you is not fully formed, and you're caught in the middle. And that's why most people give up on change. One, realizing that this middle ground will come and preparing for it, knowing, number one, you will feel that uncertainty that we don't like feeling, that discomfort, and knowing how to first accept it and be so compelled in the future. I think it was Catherine who talked about vision. Having a clear vision of where you go helps you navigate this middle ground. And so have a very clear vision. Let it be too compelling. Do whatever you need to do, you must do for you to make it real in your mind. Do vision boards, watch videos, do everything you need to do to make it very clear, very real in your mind. Because one this middle ground will feel, yes, shaky, but you will have a vision that is pulling you forward. Number two, do a reality check. We say the most important work of a leader is to do reality check. How is your reality like? You can admit that I have areas that need to go, and there's self-sabotage in this change that I'm trying to implement. And so work on that. Change your environment. You can't say you want to, let me give an example of what, lose weight and you have snacks everywhere. Get rid of those snacks. Change your environment to reflect this change that you're working towards. And number three, build systems. Have systems in place. It can be people, a circle of friends, an accountability partner. Have someone you can call and say, I'm feeling the pull to the old self. What do I need to do? Because sometimes when you're going through that middle ground, you can forget the cause and effect. You have to be clear of why I'm leaving this behind and where I'm going to. And you need someone to constantly remind you because we are going to forget. And my last point is know that you're going to fall. Oh, you're going to fall right there. You are going to fall flat on your ground, but you have to realize it's a sleep, it's not a fall. Let me call it a sleep. You have to realize it's a sleep, and it's because you're human. Yeah, you will. If we see athletes and people who train and coaches and people who've made it, if you hear their stories, they'll tell you there's one point in life they fell so hard, they thought this is it, this is the end. But the fact that they woke up from that fall and made a decision to keep working towards this vision is what got them to the other side. So accept that, anticipate it, so that when it happens to you, like the Bible says, don't consider it a strange thing. It's no strange thing. You're just human. Pick yourself up, continue, and you'll get to the other side of change.
Wow. Wow, you will get to the other side of change. That will be the transformed me. Thank you. That will be the transformed you. Paulette in the book speaks mostly to an organization change management perspective. Indeed, many of us. And since we started this conversation this afternoon, we are almost discarding our plans because change is happening and you're telling us change will happen. Paulette, we are told we must be ready, but then change is coming again. We are told plan, but then when we overplan, we are told no, it's not going to work. Where is the sweet spot? How do we balance these tensions so that the high stakes are kept in check, the finances and the people? It almost feels like a losing battle. So tell us about how we could use positive paranoia to manage change effectively.
Thanks. And just to give credit where it's due, I got positive paranoia from Ancelotti's book, for those who love football. It's called Quiet Leadership. I highly recommend you read that book. So positive paranoia, so what he says is, for him, because he's a football coach, is look at each day as if it is the day that your team is going to implode. In other words, kama kuna siku ya kuharibika, it's today. Literally. So look at today as if it is the day that the worst that can happen, then will happen. But then what is it that we do once we do and once we live with that? Because also we do not want to be in a constant place where we are always looking and changing and not moving, having analysis paralysis. How is it that we are able then to move there? We need to understand it. What my belief is, part of preparation, and for preparation to be called preparation, there has to be execution at the end. Part of decision making means that when a decision is made, there's execution at the end. There is an action at the end. So if preparation is going on and on and on in the organization, you as a leader need to sit back and try and figure out at what point you're supposed to make a decision, or did we make a decision and failed to do that, to act on that decision? Because even when we choose to do nothing, there should be an action, meaning everybody in the organization should know that concerning this water, we are not opening it. But when we prepare and say we will bring the water and we put the water there and we are not going to do anything about the water, and the cleaner in the office has no idea that we are not supposed to open the water, then we have failed as leaders. So it should always be that the end goal of all our preparation should be execution. And secondly is, we keep planning and planning, and you're leading to it that we feel like, okay, now is it even worth it? Maybe we should just avoid it. That is not the way to manage risk. I think we are informed that risk should be managed in 4 different ways. So staying away and being risk averse is just one of the options. But then we have the option of transferring that risk. Do we buy insurance? Do we outsource the service? We will have dealt with the issue, we would have dealt with the change. So if a change is coming, meaning we are growing in terms of assets and we need to keep these assets in check, do we need to insure them? Do we need to mitigate? Do we train our staff on how to use it so that we make sure that we are not causing accidents? So that's then how, so we will plan. After planning, we will execute on the plan. We will plan, make a decision, and execute. If we do not have any execution, if we do not have any action in the end, then that's when we find ourselves, Benta, where we feel like we are always in a planning season, whereas it's not always a planning. There's a planning going on at Department A, there's an execution in Department B. By the time the execution is done, another plan, the BD team has already come up with another plan that needs to be executed.
Wow, I see you almost talking about a double track. They are happening concurrently. This is another open mic moment, and I would love to know how much time we have so that we've got 10 minutes. And so because I promised, I want to keep my promise. It's an open mic moment. We had a question from a lady. Now we may have a question from a gentleman. Or a comment indeed. Probably some insight has come to you that you want these guests here not to go without. Any gent? BK, are you here? All right. No. Okay, probably a question from a student, a male student. Any affirmation? We know the gentleman for wisdom. Any comment? All right. Then the mic goes back to females again. Any comment or question? Or insight on change? Panelist, I think you're clear. I hope you're clear. All right, we are coming to our conversation. I do hope that it has piqued your interest to open these pages and engage even further. We are taking the final round of comments. Did you see somebody? Your parting shot, fellow colleagues, fellow esteemed authors. We'll start with you, Evelyn. What do you want people to take home with them in addition to the nuggets in the book?
Thank you. You need to change. We cannot. No, actually, let me put it this way. Are you the version of yourself that you were 10 years ago? A lot has changed, right? Has that change been good? So why are we afraid of changing again now? Sometimes we feel that this change is going to be very hard, I will not manage it. But you've managed so much more in your past that this is just another, I don't want to say walk in the park, but yeah, another change that you need to handle, and you will handle, and you will survive it. Actually thrive. Let me not survive, let me not say survive. You will thrive through it. And so embrace change and and the whole train of good stuff that it brings with it, because we cannot get to where we want to go without changing a bit of ourselves. They say they say if you cannot get you can't solve your problems, your current problems, and I think we all have problems with the same mindset that created them. So your mindset needs to change, and we've had a whole conversation here, and the book can give you many insights and nuggets on how to change that mindset to make sure you get to that transformation and you get to enjoy that change and be who you were created to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn. In my chapter, I do speak to the place of faith. The author, the founder of Zion Pearl, in the first statement in the foreword, speaks to the word in Hebrews. May you read it, the first statement in the foreword. Pastor Sami, we asked that the mic goes out to the gentleman, a question or a comment. We did not get any. might you have a 1-minute statement on behalf of the gents? I know our time is up. Pastor Sammy. As you prepare your closing statements, Julia. Oh, there's somebody. Yeah. Perfect. So then we have two gentlemen.
Who is somebody? Okay, let's start with you since you're near. With the somebody. Introduce yourself. So 1 minute, so we can wrap up and guys can take a short break. Thank you for coming up.
Hi. My name is Nicole Macklin, and I just had a small question. It's about in times of unexpected change, how do you personally stay focused and make the right decisions even when the future is uncertain?
Okay. I will take that to Anne. Author Anne? No. Okay. You
Good
can
look.
take it.
Okay. And very quick so that we can wrap up.
All right.
Yeah.
Number one, mourn. Cry if you must. Do what you have to do to mourn this sudden change that has happened to you. Because there's a loss that happens in every change. And if you don't acknowledge that loss, it will show up elsewhere. So mourn it, accept your reality right now, and know, if you read the Bible, you'll know everything. There's something good that comes out of every situation. And so look out for that good thing. Always, and that, I think it's not positive paranoia, but always be on the lookout. Someone said, in every change, there's a seed of positive outcome. All change, no matter how bad and desperate and sudden, most of it has something a lesson that can take you to the next level. If you read about people who've made it, I love Simon Sinek and many other writers. I hope I'm not confusing his story with someone else. It started with an accident that rendered him paralyzed. Actually, why am I going far? Let me talk of my friend Sydney. My friend Sydney survived. He was a childhood survivor, cancer survivor. And out of that experience, which to many people is the worst experience someone can go through, he's built a career and a purpose out of it. Sydney, stand up and say hi.
That's right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. The owner of this vehicle, please go and handle it. I think either you're blocking someone, so that's KDH 559U. KDH 559U. So it's urgent. Please come out. There's somebody waiting for you out here.
Okay.
Okay. Someone is showing me something. You want the mic? Okay. All right. Ladies, let's wrap it up. I'll give him. And when you're wrapping up, please 2-3 words. Let's quickly so we can go to the next part.
Thank you. So after Sammy's 1 minute.
Thank you so much. Let us appreciate these brilliant minds for this powerful book. I've gone through the pages of this powerful book, and I think today is a testimony to indicate a lady, then you will change the world. And I'm praying that the men in the house will rise to the occasion. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think the God that we serve is a God of change. When you do Isaiah 43:18-19, he says, behold, I'm doing a new what? A new thing. Change is not easy, but you need to embrace it. I've loved the testimonies that I've been, actually, you have exposed to the world. I didn't know you are called a lodge. I just picked it from this book. And then the lady there at 18, you have a baby and you don't know how to go. But then today is a testimony that the Lord is able, is a change maker. You need to embrace change. And when you do it, the Lord is able to actually help you to discover self even more. So change is something that you need to actually embrace. Hebrews says that without faith, it's impossible to do to please God. So when it comes, love God and then ask yourself, how do I pick up from here? I love the question that you've been saying that without the title, then who are you? Without the degree, who are you? Without that job, who are you? But then when change comes, it is upon you. It is an opportunity for us to see how to move. But God is faithful, and we know that out of that, powerful books like this will be written. So let us appreciate all of us for being here. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's finish and
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. So we are doing and as we move on to Julia's parting shot, another connection to a faith leader, if you may need. This is an opportunity. So Julia, your parting shot?
Thank you, Benta. My parting shots. Thriving in change is not about having control. It's about having clarity, resilience, and the courage to evolve. And maybe the real question is, are you just trying to get through this season of change? Or are you allowing yourself to grow in it? You survive change by holding, but you thrive in change by allowing it to transform you.
Thank you. We will allow change and transform. As my parting for today is, let's look at change as an action word, change as a verb. Let's be in the change and be the change that you want to be. Meaning that whatever it is that I want, whatever it is that should happen tomorrow, then I already have orchestrated my ways, I've already orchestrated my thoughts to be able to embrace it, not just embracing it, to leverage it, not like just to leverage it, but to optimize it to the best that they can offer.
Thank you. Thank you to our guests. Please clap for yourselves. And now clap for the panel. It's been a privilege engaging with you and having your audience. We are very honored. This is my parting shot. Women leaders carry a great opportunity and the responsibility to model a different and a current approach to change. Women don't live alone, they live with men. And that women carry the responsibility means the men and the women carry the responsibility. It's my desire for all of us that having been here, having had a copy of the book in your hands, is going to help you to rise again and again, and again and again, to be more clear, to be more aligned, and to be more courageous to carry life. God bless you all.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much.